Good morning/afternoon/evening. Everyone, I'm excited to share with you an integrative overview of the developmental influences on learning. Today, we'll explore how biological, cognitive, social, and environmental factors all come together to shape the way children and adolescents learn and grow. This presentation will give us a comprehensive look at the many elements that impact learning throughout these critical stages of development. Let's dive in. When we look at how learning develops throughout childhood and adolescence, it's important to recognize that it's influenced by a variety of factors all working together in a complex way. One of the key components is biological maturation, which refers to the natural physical and brain growth that happens over time. But it's not just biology. Cognitive growth, social interactions, and the environment around the child also play crucial roles. For example, the relationships children form and the environments they experience can greatly impact how and what they learn. By understanding how these factors interact, educators and caregivers can create strategies that better support a child's development at every stage, helping them reach their full potential. When we talk about biological and genetic influences on learning, the first thing to understand is the role of brain development. The growth of neurons and the connections between them form a foundation of how well someone can learn. This neural development directly impacts cognitive abilities and learning capacity. Next, inherited genetic traits come into play. These traits help explain why people have different abilities, learning styles, and ways of processing information. Genetics influence these differences at a fundamental level. But it's important to remember that biology doesn't work in isolation. The interaction between our biological makeup and our experiences shapes how effectively we learn. In other words, the way our brain develops and our genetic predispositions combine with what we encounter in our environment to determine how quickly and efficiently we acquire new information. This dynamic interplay is key to understanding individual learning differences. Piaget's theory breaks down cognitive development into four key stages, starting with the sensory-motor stage, where infants learn through their senses and actions. Then comes the preoperational stage, where children begin to use language and symbols but still think egocentrically. Following that is the concrete operational stage, where logical thinking about concrete events develops. Finally, the formal operational stage is where abstract and hypothetical thinking becomes possible. On the other hand, Vygotsky's sociocultural theory focuses on how social interactions and cultural tools shape our thinking. A crucial concept here is the zone of proximal development, which describes a range of tasks a learner can perform with help but not yet independently. This highlights the importance of guidance and collaboration in cognitive growth. Together, these theories give us a comprehensive view of how thinking evolves both individually and in social contexts. When we look at environmental influences on learning, the family environment plays a crucial role. It shapes not only how many learning resources are available, but also their quality. For example, a supportive family might provide books, educational games, or access to extracurricular activities that enrich learning. Next, cultural background also has a major impact. Different cultures often have unique practices and values that encourage engagement and open up opportunities for learning. This support can make a big difference in how motivated and involved someone becomes in their education. Finally, socioeconomic status is a significant factor. Families facing economic challenges might have limited access to experiences that contribute to development, such as travel, technology, or specialized programs. These limitations can affect the overall growth and learning potential of individuals. Understanding these environmental influences helps us see how varied and complex learning experiences can be. When we talk about social and emotional development, it's really important to understand how it shapes a learner's motivation and confidence. When students have healthy self-esteem and strong peer relationships, they are more likely to feel motivated, confident, and engaged in their learning. Positive social interactions play a crucial role here. They help create a sense of emotional security and encourage collaboration skills. These aspects are especially important in educational settings because when students feel emotionally secure and can work well with others, they participate more actively and persist through challenges. So, fostering social and emotional development is key to supporting effective learning. When we talk about neurodevelopmental factors, a key concept is sensitive periods in brain development. These are specific windows of time when the brain is particularly receptive to learning certain skills, making it an optimal phase for acquiring them. Another important idea is neuroplasticity, which is the brain's incredible ability to change and adapt based on experiences. This plasticity is what enables effective learning during those sensitive periods. By understanding when these sensitive periods occur, we can better time educational interventions, ensuring that learning is both efficient and impactful, ultimately maximizing a person's potential. When we talk about language acquisition and development, one of the most crucial factors is early language exposure. There are critical periods in childhood during which the brain is especially receptive to learning language. This means that early and consistent interaction with language is essential. Through these interactions, children build their vocabulary, grasp grammar rules, and develop communication skills. All of these elements are fundamental, as they set the stage for future academic achievements and effective communication throughout life. So, the earlier and richer the language environment, the stronger the foundation for a child's language development. Motivation plays a crucial role in how we engage with learning. First, there's intrinsic motivation, which comes from our own personal interests and curiosity. When we're genuinely interested in something, we're naturally more engaged. On the other hand, extrinsic motivation involves external rewards like grades or recognition, which can also influence how much effort we put into a task. Now, linking motivation to self-regulation, executive functions are key. These are the mental skills that help us set goals, stay persistent, and monitor our progress. They act as a control center that guides our behavior towards achieving our learning objectives. Finally, by combining motivation with these executive functions, learners can apply effective strategies to regulate their learning. This means they can plan, adjust, and manage their efforts to make sure they meet their goals successfully. Understanding how motivation and self-regulation work together is essential for enhancing our learning experience. When we look at the impact of early experiences, it's clear that the kind of stimulation children receive plays a crucial role in their development. Positive early stimulation, both cognitive and emotional, really helps shape the brain's growth and behavior. This kind of nurturing supports the development of important skills that children will rely on as they continue to learn and grow. On the other hand, when children face deprivation or neglect in these early stages, the consequences can be quite serious. It can impair their cognitive abilities and make it harder for them to regulate their emotions later in life. This highlights just how vital early intervention is to ensure every child has a foundation they need for healthy development. As we wrap up, it's important to remember that learning is shaped by a combination of developmental influences. These come from the dynamic interaction between biological factors, the environment around us, and the individual experiences we each bring. Brain maturation is particularly crucial because it directly impacts how we process information and acquire new skills. At the same time, cognitive growth and social emotional development work together to influence not just what we learn, but how we approach learning and personal growth. Understanding this complex interplay is key, as it helps educators tailor their approaches to support each learner's unique developmental path effectively. This holistic perspective ensures that educational practices truly meet the needs of every individual.